Oh, let's do our thumbnail.
I'm laughing.
Come on, Sophia, so we can have pictures later.
Okay.
Hey guys, I'm back with another video, and as always, I am your host, Susie. And today, Sophia's back with me. And so you guys, let me tell y'all something. So I want a cake today. I really want a cake. I wanted tres leches cake to be specific. And I went to a Mexican store. They didn't have any. I went to Walmart. They didn't have any, but they did have like the little like cups that they kind of like scoop out and then like put in little, you know, little cups and then squeeze the whipped cream on it. I didn't want that, so I bought some of this red velvet cake. I don't know, I can't think for a second there, but some of this red velvet cake. And what I did was I poked it with a bunch of holes with a knife, and I bought some evaporated milk and condensed milk, mixed it all up, poured it in there, and added some whipped cream. And here we are. And that's what we're gonna be eating while we react to 15 isolated people who live in a strange life, you guys. This is gonna be interesting. Ooh.
Yeah.
All right, let's cut this cake, Sophia. Get a plate. All right. Oh. Y'all, this is a lot of sugar, but
And avoid the sugar.
if you're left-handed, some things can be complicated. Let's see. Oh, here you go, Sophia, your slice.
Big one.
All right, let me get this one. You can take that. Let me get another one. My slice. All right, we're gonna put this on the side over there. Here, I'll take the spoon, Sophia. You can have the fork. And yes, I don't have forks because my kids, I think they throw them away, but that doesn't matter. We have one. Anyways, y'all, let me stop. All right, let's get started. All right, you ready, Sophia?
I'm ready.
All right. Okay.
We all know that person who's very introverted. They don't like going out in big groups unless it's with people they know well.
Does it matter who it is?
No. Anyone's fine.
And after a big event, they like to go home and recharge. However, these people took introverted to the next level and isolated themselves from civilization.
Alongside the trespassing vehicles, tourist buses came along.
From a family who rarely leaves their hut to a tribe that lives on their own island, here are 15 isolated people who live a
really
very
sweet,
strange
guys.
life. Sama Baha. Located throughout the Sulu archipelago in the Philippines, lives the Sama Baha. These people are sea nomads. In fact, Bahau means man of the seas.
Look at him.
These people travel by boat from one island to the next in search of a fishing harvest. Although the origin of the Sama people is not clear, they originally occupied the coastal areas and islands between the island of Manadaw and the Sulu Islands. Many people believe they came from either the South Sea Islands or the Sumatra.
Can't believe in that place like that.
While others
They
think
must
their
have really good
migration in
lungs.
the first millennia AD
Yeah.
was due to the expansion of the Chinese trade. Certain Sama groups can be distinguished by the way they speak, though most identify themselves with a certain
the
island
whole
or
wow.
island
water.
cluster.
I wonder how
Their
people like that
lives
use the
revolve
restroom.
around trade,
I don't
fishing,
know how.
seafaring, and some farming
a lot of
along the
pooping
coast.
in
They
the
live in
water.
regular houses,
Pollution.
some lifted off the ground by stilts or houseboats. Some houses are even built on the water with a bridge that leads to the land.
That looks
Their
so
houseboats
scary.
are made up of 2 canoes,
They
which
live
can typically
comfortable.
hold up to 6 people. And when they fish, they
You
anchor.
think?
How do you think the kids play?
I don't know. But most of them, you remember like the Nigerian one?
Oh,
They have
those
the-
people.
yeah.
I forgot what that place is called, but that's
The
interesting.
Nigeria is
I
like
wonder how they
this.
play. Maybe they just get on boats and throw things back and forth.
I don't know how their bathrooms, how they're connected.
Yes, I wonder how they use their
I
Maybe they
think-
just
I think
They just
everything
come
go
out.
in water.
so they just get in the water and just
They-
poop in there.
yeah.
Like they pretend like they're swimming
Uh-huh.
and they just
How
poop.
they get the clean water for drinking or other purpose? I don't know. You
I
know,
don't
like the
know.
water sea is salt.
I don't know, Sophia. That's a good one. I don't know. Let's
That is
continue.
like really
Anchor
isolated.
their boats in a cluster with other families, even sharing resources. The Sentinelese. The Sentinelese, also known as Sentinel and the North Sentinel Islanders, inhabit North Sentinel Island in the Bay of Bengal, India.
India.
Oh wow, they're really dark. They look more like
They are hunter
That's
gatherers
African.
who like
yeah.
to use bow and arrows to hunt wildlife, and believed to eat a lot of mollusks. Some of their practices have yet to even evolve beyond the
Yes, they
Stone
don't wear
Age.
clothes.
The Sentinelese belongs to a larger class of Andamanese people, which consists of the Great Andamanese, the Jarowas,
Oh,
the
wow.
Onga,
Wow.
the Shompen, and the Nicobarese. However, unlike the other groups, the Sentinelese have constantly refused any interactions with people from the outside world. Furthermore, you wouldn't want to come across them because they're very hostile to outsiders and
What?
have even killed people who've gotten too close to their island. In
What?
1956, the government declared the North Sentinel Island a tribal reserve and banned anyone to travel within 3 miles of the island.
I
There's a
mean, why would
constant
you go
armed
there?
Patrol along the border
If
to
they're
prevent
happy
anyone
and
from
they
entering
want to
and
be like
taking
that, let them
They
be.
don't like
is
somebody
prohibited.
going there.
Then let them be.
Isolated Jarawa tribe. For
Jarawa.
55,000 years, the Jarawa tribe have lived in isolation, untouched by the ways of modern
Look
civilization
how
up
they
until now.
dress.
They live on Andaman Island, a territory in India, and have been shaping their lifestyle since the beginning of humankind. The Jarawa do not wish to be a part of the modern world, but they are
What?
constantly approached and harassed by people who trespass on their territory. Because of this, they started using scissors, wearing t-shirts, and using hammers. Alexandra Dreams and Claire Bielvert, documentary filmmakers, are treating this cultural shift as a warning sign. They even launched a documentary called We Are Humanity to send a powerful message that comes directly from the tribe
How they go
members.
to
However,
hospitals,
because
this,
of the
that, see?
harassment, it is believed that this ancient tribe may become extinct within 10 years if the
Oh.
Indian government does not take action to protect them. Robert Long family.
Robert
Long lives in complete isolation with his wife Catherine and 2 kids, Kristen, 24 years old, and Robin, 21 years old. They live in a hut that is a 2 days journey south of Haast in New Zealand's South Island. Robert has lived there for almost 35 years.
Oh my goodness.
Catherine, 25 years. The children have lived there for most of their lives. They have now moved on and have lived, working and traveling
They
around
don't
the
know
world.
what is the
While living
weather.
in their hut,
Hey,
their
at
only
least,
contact
you know,
with
at
the
least
world
they
is a
live
helicopter or
outside of
plane
that little
that comes
place.
once a month and 2 trips a year to the outside world.
Only 2
For
per year?
per year,
The
yeah.
family's
Oh, man, I
experiences
can't be
over
that
the years
isolated.
have allowed them to live self-sufficiently and forge a close bond to the natural environment. This has
If your
given them
son
an
or your daughter
inspiring
left
story about
the
one's
place,
choice to
never
drop out
come
of
back.
capitalist society
No, but they
and
come back.
established a successful
No,
lifestyle
because this is
most
not
of us
life.
cannot imagine. Both Robert and Catherine have written books about their experiences, living off the grid and raising 2 children. Kristen and Robin spent their last school year in school. The years before, they were homeschooled, but then went to Mount Aspiring College in Wanaka. There, they learned how to better ingrain themselves into society. Victorian couple, Sarah
Because they
Kristen
cannot
and
know
Gabriel.
what is going on in
Sarah and
the
Gabriel had a
village,
fascination
whatever.
with the past, specifically 1880 to 1890, the time period where electric bulbs, cars, and telephones just started to appear. In 2000, they were a regular couple who were charmed with the vintage times.
And I particularly love to just encourage people to go further with their interests.
Then, for Sarah's birthday,
That's extreme.
Gabriel bought her a corset, almost exactly like the ones worn in the 19th century. Later, they moved into a house that was built in 1888.
Oh, that's too
Ooh,
much.
that's-
That's just taking
There,
it
they
too
replaced
far.
their refrigerator with a box of ice.
Oh,
They have
God.
electricity in their house, but they only use bulbs from the past, exactly the way Edison made them. Later
Oh,
in the
God.
day, they use oil lamps, and in the winter, they have kerosene and gas heaters. To fully immerse themselves into the past, they decided they didn't need a cell phone. And Sarah does not have her driver's license. They travel around
They
on
too much.
bicycles.
On
Sarah
bikes?
has a three-wheeled replica from the 1880s, while Gabriel has 3 two-wheeled retro bikes. They do not own any washer, dryer, ovens, or
So she has to wash
dishwashers,
everything by
deciding
hand.
to do
Yeah,
everything
like in
by
Africa.
hand, even sewing their own clothes,
Yeah.
copying the
Very
originals.
good.
They even cook on a wood fire oven, only using old-day cooking utensils. Each year for their birthdays, they present each other with a unique item. Sarah continues to wear a corset every day. All of Gabriel's glasses and spectacles were made in the 19th century. Billy Barr. In 1973, Billy Barr dropped out of college and decided to make a home inside of an abandoned mining shack at the bottom of Gothic Mountain. The slat walls did little to protect Billy from the harsh cold winds, and his only company throughout the year were a few animals that took shelter there. Billy had moved from the East Coast to the Rocky
Why would
Mountains
you do that?
because he wished for solitude.
You know,
but that
sometimes
didn't
the
stop
people they
him
have
from
body
getting bored.
speaks. That's
I
why
say
they
Billy
thought
Barr
like,
is a legend in our community and a legend in our world.
Oh, so this
The
is a
first
community?
winter was the hardest.
No,
Billy
it's
had
not
gone
community,
crazy
they have-
with boredom.
it's
He
blessed.
decided to start measuring the snow levels
Yeah.
and animal tracks. He started filling notebook after notebook with his findings and continued to do so for 44 years. His findings would have stayed just that, findings, if he did not live so close to the Rocky Mountain Biological Laboratory, RMBL, which is one of the most important phenology research sites in the world. Scientists at
at least
RMBL
you get
have
some money
recently
because
become
of that.
fascinated by the climate change impact on plants and animals that live in the higher plains. However, they had little information on the changes in winter. This is where Billy's notebooks come in. He had recorded a ton of new information for RMBL to study. Agathia. Agathia
Agathia.
is one of the world's most well-known hermits, recently celebrating her 75th birthday. Her family was
Oh, wow.
Orthodox Old Believers who eventually fled into the wilderness to escape religious persecution in 1936.
Where
For
they
most
come
of her
from?
life, she lived without modern comforts, much like a peasant from the 18th century, and is guided by an old Bible. Recently, inspectors from the Russian Space Agency, Kakasky Nature Reserve, and Cosmos journeyed to her home to inform her about the impending space
know,
launch.
you need to do
the
like
debris
that
from the
so you
space
can make
launch can
tourist-
fall in her general
tourism.
area, putting her in danger.
That's too
the
much.
inspectors offered
Yeah,
to bring her
people
away from
coming
the
to you,
danger
giving
zone.
money, then-
However, Agathia refuses to leave her birth home, saying, "The rockets fell down before, so what's different now?" Surprisingly, the inspectors were not surprised at hearing this. Agathia hates leaving her home. People write to her and send her presents, and the reserve
Aw.
deputy brings her seeds and other necessities. She once
That's
asked
nice.
them to help her kill one of her goats. She didn't have enough hay for it. They helped, and she fed it to her many, many cats. People say she once had 20
thought she would
cats
eat
at the
it.
same time.
Maybe she
Great
eat.
woman, too.
I would eat
She
that
scares away
goat.
bears that get too close by banging cutlery loudly on a plate. Xavier Rosette. 33-year-old Swiss adventurer Xavier Rosette is somewhat difficult to find. You can usually find him on the edge of a lake, on a mountain, or in the middle of a desert. He is a modern adventurer and has produced documentaries for more than 20 countries.
Alright, the target is to make something to smoke the fish because I hope to have many, many fishes.
In his most recent project, A Glance on the World, Xavier brings a reflection on our respect for the environment and our way of life by surviving
Some
on an
people,
island for 10 months
I don't
that
know
has
what
yet
they
to
think
be
in their head.
inhabited by humans. During his 10-month solo mission on the island, he managed to live by going back to basics. He was only equipped with a Swiss knife and a machete. Mauro Morandi.
Mauro
When Mauro
Morandi.
Morandi's boat washed ashore Budeli Island in 1989, he didn't know what was in store for him. He learned that the island's
Oh, that's
caretaker
beautiful.
was
Oh
retiring.
my
Yeah.
goodness, that is
So
beautiful.
Mauro
Nice.
sold his boat and took a new role. 31 years later, he remains the only resident and guardian of the island. Mauro is now 81 years old and doesn't
81,
wish
eh?
to leave his home.
Oh,
It is still strong.
He claims when he dies, he wishes to be cremated, then have his ashes spread across the wind. He believes
Aw.
all life is reunited with the earth eventually, that we
Yeah.
all are part of the same energy. This propels Mauro to continue to live on the island without compensation. Winters for him are lonely though, going 20 or more days without any human contact. However, Mauro keeps himself busy and allows his creative mind to expand. He creates sculptures out of juniper wood, finding a unique face in each piece of wood. He reads a ton of books and meditates on the wisdom of the Greek philosophers and literary prodigies. Morrow has also taken plenty of pictures of the island, in awe of how often it changes,
I
day
need to
by
read his
day,
book.
season
What
to
did he like
season.
inside the book?
Miriam
No, I think he
Westwood.
read. They said he read. I don't
Miriam
think
is
he
a young
read.
Dutch woman who's living a primitive nomadic life in the middle of New Zealand's mountains with her husband Peter Rain, who she met in New Zealand.
He looks way older than her.
Yeah, he's old.
He was telling
He's
me
like
about
your
all the
daughter.
Wow.
They
His
live in a
daughter.
simple tent or hut. They survive by hunting wild animals, gathering edible plants, and using minimal supplies. She has lived this way for the last 6 years, through rain and snow, often hungry and isolated in the wilderness. However, she claims, my life is free and random and spontaneous.
Some of her
This
teeth.
itself creates enormous energy and clarity in body and mind. She even wrote a book called Woman in the Wilderness. Faustino
I
Barrientos.
saw that book.
Faustino has taken it upon himself to live in peaceful solitude since 1965. He lives along the shore of O'Higgins in a house built out of remains of an old shipwrecked fishing vessel and lives off the land and his livestock with a few modern amenities, making him a pastoralist. His nearest neighbors live 25 miles away
Wow.
in O'Higgins, which is a small community
How can
of
somebody
around
can help you
700
when you have
people,
trouble?
only accessible from a 2-day horseback ride throughout the rugged
2
mountain
days?
animal paths. Faustino makes his journey every few years so he can sell his cattle in town. However, he is
Also,
reaching
he
the end of his
will-
life.
animals,
Currently
yeah.
at 81 years of age, his self-imposed isolation is being intruded upon by the government, economy, and tourism. Vice even went to document his lifestyle in December 2011.
It looks so simple. When the
Look
few
at that
days
dog.
we've been here have proven that we couldn't have survived without him.
And talk with him about the changing face of Patagonia and the nomadic lifestyle. Charlie Gilmore. Charlie Gilmore is as close as you can get to a crazy bird person.
Huh?
He was adopted by David Gilmore, who is the guitarist for Pink Floyd. In 2011, Charlie went to prison for 16 months because he swung off a London War memorial. Now 27-year-old Charlie is living with his wife Janina and their pet magpie Benzine
I like their kitchen.
So where they living?
in South London as a journalist.
I guess in
Benzine
South
inspired
London?
Charlie to open up the world's first crow cafe on Easter Sunday.
Crow
He
cafe?
wanted to
Huh?
encourage the
This
public to
is
interact with the misunderstood
white people
crows.
activities. Oh my
The
goodness.
world's first crow cafe. We've got
What?
four-
Why?
He's only lived with. She will even snuggle up to you in the evenings and make adorable chirping sounds.
They make
You
really
even take
loud,
stabs with her.
annoying
Charlie recently
sounds.
found out that his biological father, Heathcote Williams, has also had a pet bird. In the 1980s, he rescued and tamed a jackdaw. Their relationship had an uncanny resemblance to Charlie's and Ben's.
No.
Obviously,
What
it
is
runs in the
that?
family, although this jackdaw disappeared after a few months. Leif Hagen. Leif
Leif
works
Hagen.
as a fire lookout with the U.S. Forest Service.
Hey, good morning. I have 67 degrees.
During summer, his job is to watch over the wilderness that surrounds his remote post a few miles south of the Canadian border in northwest Montana. Leif grew up in Minnesota, learning about the lookout life through literature, even getting his first job as a
Oh,
lookout
wow.
in
Look at-
1994.
I
You
can't
like the
sleep
house
like
like
that.
that?
I can't.
Huh?
I
You
need
say you
blind.
like-
He's been
I
returning
like
to
that
his lookout
only,
post in the summer.
You
during
say
the
you
day.
like
It's
the
a great way to
the
spend
place
the
like
summer.
that, the
There's
big
not
windows.
much to do up there besides walking, reading, writing, carpentry, and just sitting down to enjoy the scenery. Leif has spotted many fires over the years, several of those being quite large. Fire conditions that year were unlike anything I've ever seen, Leif says. There had been around 10 to 15
That's
fires
scary.
around that area, and smoke was appearing behind Hornet Peak. Leif started writing down the coordinates and gathering supplies. However, within 3 minutes, the fire was still spreading, shockingly fast. Leif radio dispatch telling them they might want to get someone in the air for this one. Because of Leif's interesting life, he got to witness the dangers of nature. Warwick Mitchell. Warwick lives off the grid, deep in one of the world's most remote locations, Fiordland, New Zealand. His cabin is located in one of the country's oldest national parks,
I didn't
in the
see
southwest
Africa.
corner of New Zealand's South Island.
Living in the wilderness doesn't mean living in
Yeah.
isolation from people.
So isolation life is
There by
normal
traveling
in
by
Africa.
boat or plane. Then a 4 days
Oh my
walk.
gosh, I'm not doing
I
that.
know, I
Oh
can't.
no 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 no
No.
no.
Fun things to do, mainly by exploring the labyrinth of rivers in a kayak or hiking through the deep, never-ending forest. Mitchell says it's difficult living out here, but if you do what's
How
needed
you
and
can
everything
live?
comes
Look.
together, it's a really rewarding place to be. Mick Dodge. Mick Dodge is also known as the Barefoot Sensei, the Barefoot
Barefoot?
Nomad, and Walking Mountain.
I never considered going back home. This adventure I found by stepping out of the modern
So he doesn't wear
He
shoes?
decided to leave modern living and retreat to the forest due to the stresses of modern living. He got the name Barefoot Sensei because he doesn't wear shoes.
Oh.
And you work in the forest like that?
Him and brings him closer to nature. Before Mick started living in isolation, he was enlisted in the Marine Corps for 6 years and had graduated from a high school in Okinawa, Japan. Although Mick does not want much to do with modern living, he is still involved in the community. In 1994, Mick and Jackie Chandler created an Earth-based fitness program. They called it the Earth Gym. It was a fitness program where most of the equipment for training was provided by the forest. Mick also had a reality TV series on the National Geographic Channel called The Legend of Mick Dodge, showing his unusual life spent in the forest. If you ever had the chance to...
So that was it? Would you live in isolation, Sophia?
No. Big no.
Me, on the other hand, I want my forever home to be somewhat isolated. I want to be far enough from someone that I don't know what you're doing, but loud enough that if something was to happen to you or to me, that if I screamed or you screamed, that I might be able to hear you and maybe, you know, call 911 or something. Or I can run to your house. You know, that's me. I don't like houses that are super close to each other. So I'm on the...
Oh, no. Me, I like to live with community, like not far from the one house to another house. So no one here can hear you. No one here can hear. No, I like to live with people.
Not me. Okay. I'm not really a people person, you guys.
I can live this life like what they're living in 25 miles from one person.
That's too far.
No,
that's way too far. If something happens to me and I can't run to your house and make it there and maybe be alive.
You think how they go to hospital. How about other community activities?
Maybe they
how?
do like home remedies or something, you know? Maybe they just patch themselves up. I don't know. Maybe they just...
But most of the people living this life, they have something inside them telling them what to do. They have spirit. I believe that.
I don't know. I can't do it. That's just too much for me. But you guys, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. As always, we'll see you guys in another video.
And you can comment, you like to live those life?
Wait. Okay, you guys. All right, we're gonna redo this. Okay, you guys. All right, you go ahead.
Okay. So you can comment on the YouTube. If you like, you can like say what kind of life you can live. That life, living far from the forest, far from the people. What kind of life?
Can you guys live like that? Cause that's, I mean, like I said before, I can live in isolation, but not that type of isolation. You know, I want to be able to kind of see you way over there, way over there. But I don't know. We'll end this video right here, you guys. Until next time, bye.